And we get to the last in line here. I'm gonna put an overhand knot there and tie this last one with this overhand knot here, and then I'll move on to the next. So at my spacing interval, I'm going to put this next wire and then just repeat that process. I'm going to start on the end. Lay this here. This comes under. Over and through. And I would proceed down all the way down, and then if I went to add another, and this spacing is for another project, but if I wanted to maintain this spacing, I'd pull this wire out of here. I'd move this one to here, and then I would pull this up, and or what I could do is leave the overhead knot here in the notch and just pull the hitches up, get the tension on this, and then after I tied all these, I'd put this other wire in here and tie in the next rung. When you tie these crown knots, they should look like this. Now this side is the outside of the saddle. I sit against this side. So on one side you have this, like these 4 loops like this. And then on the other side, you'll have that diagonal. And then that's a little flatter on that side. See if you can tell. It's flatter on this side. And you go through and you can tighten these up. You can shift them if the spacing's not quite right. That's what they look like. So once you've tied 2 of those halves, and you want to join them in the middle, what I do is I'll have, in that case it would be 8 stringers from this side and 8 from this side. I'll take the ends that would attach, and I can do this different ways. I've done this where I've just tied a sheep bend here. I'll tie a sheep bend, and then tighten it, get it really tight, and then I'll tie a overhand stopper knot. I've done that in all of them. The other thing I could do is I can tie a double fisherman's. So I'd come over here and I'd tie the double fisherman. One here, and then this other one I would tie one facing the other way. And there are other videos that show more detail how to tie this, but I could tie that, and then that would be along the center line. But what I've been doing is I tie another crown knot in the center, and the way I do that is I have half of the crown knot with the bitter end up on both. And let's put I'll put the wire back in here, because this can be done. This can be done on the wire, but I'll have the one of the stringers from one side that comes from underneath and over the top like that. Then from this side, this one will come over the underneath and then over the top like that. With I always tie these just one way, so I never get confused. So I'll put the one furthest from me, and I work towards me as I tied like before. I'll have this one outboard of this one here. And I'll take my rung cord with the stopper knot on the end, and I'll put it in this bite here, just like tying the regular crown knot. I'll come underneath, and then I have, rather than one cord here, I got it doubled, but I come underneath those two, just like before, and then over the top and down through this bite here. So I have this cord run through the way it goes, and I'm going to start to dress this crown knot and set it. Like this. And I'll work my stopper knot closer. Tighten it. Tighten it. Tighten it. Keep tightening it. And then right there you can see that these can still pull here and adjust, and I can adjust the size, the final size of the saddle right here, and even them up and get them all in line and make it neat. But then I want to make sure, so I have this crown knot just like before, but the short ends, the bitter ends of these stringer lines, I want on this side of the knot, and not to come out on this side here. So this and this is on what we'll call the top of the knot facing us. So when it tightens up, it will lock these ends from slipping, but I'm not ever going to call that good enough because we're sitting in this. So I'll go ahead and I'll tie a with my extra, I'm going to tie a fisherman knot in this end here. Get a little longer. I'm going to tie a fisherman knot here. And I'm going to tie a fisherman knot here. And then I can draw them up each side. Pull them tight. Pull this rung line tight. And that's how I join the center. So if we look at the saddle, the saddle, the center of it, we have our crown knot in the middle here, and then a fisherman knot on either side on each one. And once we get them set and dressed, tightened up, we can come back through and cut any excess off and melt it. I leave a tail on. I prefer to leave a good tail on my knots. And then the only other thing I've done here is I just add these 3 droppers. So one in the one in the center, and then one on the most forward, in front of the most forward rung on each. And that just holds the spacing that I prefer, and that's let's see, I'll zoom out. So that kind of holds. Get this out of here. That kind of holds this spacing and keeps the saddle kind of straight and organized when we have it on. And then and using this when I got to cover one more thing. After it's easier to tie these 2 halves separate, each one on a piece of its own piece of rope. But let's say this is not the rope we're going to use for the bridge. I'll just have let's say we're going to replace it with this piece of Oplux. If you're careful here and you loosen these hitches up, you can slide them directly onto another rope like this. Get that all the way on there, and then slide this one. Something that would make it easier is, well, I haven't done it yet, but I could put a piece of heat shrink on this and leave the end open so I could slide this rope up inside and slide this slide the hitch down here. And then once I have it on here, I'm going to have to dress them up, tighten them up a little bit like that. Until I know they'll hold. And then, of course, I'm going to tie a stopper knot in the end here, like I have here. I have a stopper knot, so these hitches can never go any further than this. But I'll take this on. I would put my weight in it. I put my tether on the tree. I'd hook my my bridge to the tether. I would weight this, and then I would get everything tightened up and tuned in, and then go back through and check the knots and do any adjustments. But I think one of the things that make this, I tried to replace this to get a flatter saddle without the knots, although the inside is pretty flat. But I guess the beauty of these cargo knots is that they roughly keep the position of everything, but they don't really seize up. So you can go back through and kind of dress each knot after it's weighted if you have any that are overly tight. If you've got a stringer that's a little too short, you can come back here and give a little more slack on this fisherman knot here, and then get a little more slack in that line. The other way to do this, where the lines are all the same tension, would be to hang weights, equal weight on each line. As you tie the knots, they would be equal spacing, equal tension, and but this works out pretty good. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. I hope that helps. Thanks for stopping by.